You're listening to The Foundation of Wellness, a refreshing take on diet and lifestyle, with Jessica Dogert, a registered dietitian nutritionist, and Marisa Moon, a primal health coach.
Hey you guys, my name is Jessica and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and you can learn all about me on my website at jessicadogert.com.
Hey everybody, this is Marisa Moon. I'm a certified primal health coach, and you can find out more about me at marisamoon.com and even some of my recipes at mylongevitykitchen.com.
So last episode, we explained why nutrient density matters. It's incredible how much the nutrient content in your diet impacts your appetite, your body weight, and just your long-term health, or just your likelihood of having chronic disease. And we know nutrition talk can sometimes be really nerdy, especially when we're talking about vitamins and minerals and science and all of that. But today, we are arming you with the real goods, the actual food list that you want to seek. We are giving you actionable advice, and we are helping you sift through the nonsense out there as usual. And we love doing that for you guys.
Yeah. Let's start with the two different schools of thought: conventional nutrition versus ancestral health. When I say ancestral health, I mean this field of study that combines the findings from traditional societies with modern medicine to prevent and treat chronic disease today. So basically, it's a field of study that looks at what we can learn from ancient and traditional peoples regarding our health.
Now, this school of thought usually contradicts the advice we're so faithfully given by everyone from our government to our primary care doctor to big name organizations like the American Heart Association.
Crazy, right? That's why this is by far, the biggest reason why health and wellness is so confusing. Just like the ancestral health point of view, Jessica and I both like to take what we can learn from ancient humans and traditional societies and combine that with what we've learned from conventional nutrition and provide you with dependable, practical advice to keep you well in the modern age.
And when it comes to nutrient density, of course there's a divide. Last episode, we explained that nutrient density is the amount of micronutrients per calorie of food. Micronutrients being the vitamins and minerals and amino acids in foods.
Yeah, and the problem is that our conventional system excludes any foods that are high in saturated fat or animal fat when they are creating lists of nutrient-dense foods. That's what the USDA My Plate will tell you. They'll tell you that whole grains and legumes and fat-free dairy products are more nutritious than full-fat dairy or fatty meats and organ meats.
And where has that gotten us? To being one of the most unhealthy nations eating the least healthy diet.
Yeah. Chris Kresser, the functional medicine trailblazer and mythbuster who we love here on the Foundation of Wellness podcast, Chris Kresser says that if the United States were to receive a report card rating, the quality of the standard American diet would get a solid F for nutrient density. Despite being high in calories, the standard American diet, known as the SAD diet, is nutrient poor. Vegetable oils and sugar together comprise 36% of the SAD diet, and they're virtually devoid of nutrients.
And the same goes for flour-based foods. Most Americans are eating either pizza, sandwiches, and pasta at every meal, and they're getting alarmingly no nutrients with too many calories and very little satisfaction.
Yeah. Think about it. Everybody eats a sandwich at every meal, right? It seems. Now, the ancestral health community includes all foods when determining nutrient density because some high-calorie foods are exceptionally nutrient-dense, like grass-fed beef and pastured chicken liver, for instance. And many of these foods that are naturally high in fat can be healthy additions to our diet. And they also help us reach proper nutrient status. And they satisfy our hunger, my favorite part. Before we start rattling off the most nutrient-dense foods for you guys, we have to explain something to you, something called bioavailability. There's a saying in nutrition that goes something like, it's not about how many nutrients are in the food, it's about how many nutrients you can absorb. The amount of nutrients we absorb is almost always lower than the nutrients that are actually found in the food. And it varies so much depending on the person's digestive health or your genetic makeup or the way the food is being prepared or the presence of other nutrients in that food and so much more.
A good example of how much bioavailability affects our nutrient intake is that there are 115 milligrams of calcium in a serving of spinach, but we only absorb around 6 milligrams.
Whoa.
I know, right? So this means that you have to consume 16 cups of spinach to get the same calcium you get in a glass of milk. And I'm not telling you to go drink milk, but I am telling you that this is a huge discrepancy in the vegan world, as well as in convention nutritional guidelines. You'll hear how broccoli is really high in protein, but you need to eat 6 cups of broccoli to get the same amount of protein in a small chicken breast.
Oh, man, eye-opening, isn't it? One more example of bioavailability and this flawed nutrition advice is that whole grains are high in vitamins and minerals. Well, whole grains and legumes have lots of vitamins and minerals in them if you look at them from like a nutritional analysis, but they also contain phytates, these anti-nutrients that bind to calcium and iron and even zinc, making those minerals unavailable for our absorption. That means even though the vitamins are present in the food, it doesn't mean that we can even access them or absorb them in our body. Side note, that's why if you're going to consume grains and legumes, I always say that they should be soaked or sprouted, soaked the old-fashioned way, or better yet, fermented. I'm sure we're going to have an entire episode just on that topic. But for now, just so you can understand, if bioavailability were taken into consideration on these nutrient density scales, foods like grains or legumes or even nuts and seeds, which are all high in phytates, would score much lower than foods with highly absorbable vitamins like meat and dairy have.
And even without considering bioavailability, all categories of meat and fish, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and dairy are classified as more nutrient dense than whole grains. Meat and fish, veggies, and fruit are more nutrient dense than legumes.
How about that? Well, okay, are you ready for my nutrient dense superfood master list?
Oh, I'm so ready.
I'm just going to rattle them off, but if you want this list, anyone can download it for free at marisamoon.com/blog/32, which is the number of this episode. So here we go. Fermented foods, homemade bone broth, seaweed and algae, egg yolks, fish eggs and caviar, wild-caught seafood, especially those small cold water fish like salmon and sardines and mackerel. And let's not forget about those bivalves, oysters, mussels, and clams. Organ meats, often called offal, and cod liver oil, extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed ruminants like beef, lamb, goat, venison, and bison, wild game, of course, grass-fed organic and cultured butter, fresh organic broccoli sprouts, all cruciferous and sulfur-rich vegetables like Brussels sprouts, cabbage, bok choy, cauliflower, arugula, garlic, onions, and leeks. Green and red leafy vegetables like kale and that beautiful red leaf lettuce, mustard greens, and Swiss chard. All bitter greens like dandelion greens, radicchio, frisee. Of course, organic fresh herbs and spices. Sprouted nuts and properly soaked lentils. Coconut anything, unrefined, unsweetened, and with no preservatives. Avocados, yay! And avocado oil. And organic plain kefir. Some people call it kefir. And it's even better if it's made from goat or it's coconut kefir. And organic grass-fed yogurt. Full fat with no sugar. And the best choice there can even be goat's or sheep's milk yogurts. And sweet potatoes, beets, and acorn squash. What about organic berries and organic dark chocolate that's 80% or higher and preferably raw?
Ooh, organic dark chocolate. Nice. Thanks, Marisa. So some of these superfoods might be pricey. So which superfoods do you think are totally worth the splurge?
Yeah, it's important to focus here where your food dollars are best spent. And I think that's on organic extra virgin olive oil, which you can get from Costco, by the way, organic pasture raised and homemade bone broth, wild caught salmon, non-GMO grass-fed beef or lamb or bison, sometimes called pasture-raised beef. Liver capsules are a great way to get liver, and you can also get quality cod liver oil as a supplement. And grass-fed cultured butter is a great price, but worth your money. Seaweed from a clean source that's third-party tested is a great addition to your diet. And sprouted lentils or home-soaked lentils made the old-fashioned way. Organic grass-fed yogurt, full fat with no sugar, is totally worth the money and only like $5 a tub. And organic dark chocolate, 80% or higher, makes such a great treat and has so many nutrients available to you.
You know, I take liver capsules from Vital Proteins, and then I also I take this little seaweed shot in the morning from E3 Live. I will say that they're pretty pricey supplements, but they're worth it to me because I really do feel the difference and just more energized. Now, what about superfoods when you're on a budget?
There are plenty of superfoods that fit even the smallest budget, you guys. You can make homemade sauerkraut for just a couple of bucks, and it's really easy. You can get those omega-3 enhanced eggs by the carton where they feed the chickens more omega-3s to make it a better nutrient profile. You can get Brussels sprouts and avocados, and home sprouted organic broccoli sprouts are so easy. You just start with organic broccoli seeds that you can buy online and sprout them yourself. So cheap. You can get sweet potatoes, of course, and seasonal squash. And leafy greens that are local, like from a farmer's market or homegrown, big savings there. And cabbage and onions and garlic are all cheap and affordable. Don't forget about canned fish, you guys. Canned sardines, herring, mackerel, and anchovies that are packed in olive oil or in water are great additions to your diet, and there's so many ways to make those taste good. Now, kombu is a type of seaweed that's used to cook broth, like dashi broth in Japanese cooking, but it's also in my favorite canned beans called Eden Organic or Eden Foods. They make canned beans that are soaked the old-fashioned way, and they add kombu because kombu helps you digest those pesky sugars and carbohydrates that are in beans that make us gassy. Now, you can also make homemade bone broth on a budget. And you can join a grass-fed cow share, which means you can get like a quarter of a cow by pitching in with a bunch of other people or by buying from a local farm online like I do at sevensons.net. Now, home-soaked lentils, that's a real budget-friendly food that's nutrient-dense. And you can even join a CSA, you guys. CSAs are community-supported agriculture where you pay a certain price for a season or by the month to get a shipment or a box of produce from a local farm. So you really cut out the middleman and you get seasonal fresh produce that's really nutrient dense because it's been harvested recently. Now you can save big when you start using organ meats from beef, lamb, chicken liver, tongue, heart, sweetbreads, liverwurst. Anything that's not made with pork liver, I highly recommend. And organic plain yogurt is so affordable. Make sure you get the full fat kind. And don't forget about quality coconut oil and extra virgin olive oil and even avocado oil. When you shop at places like thrivemarket.com, Trader Joe's, or Costco, you can get crazy deals on those items that are usually expensive. And remember, you can head over to my website, marisamoon.com/blog/32 to download these food lists for free. And my name is Marisa with one S. So it's kind of like Marissa, but I'm doing my own thing.
Now, in case you guys didn't notice, we do not discriminate here. Plants and animals belong on the superfood list, and together they make for the most nutrient-dense diet.
Oh, I can't drive that home enough, Jess. Hopefully listeners will hear our episode on Does Red Meat Cause Cancer? Because there really are so many points that just can't be ignored. And if you start searching on the internet, you'll just be confused. I mean, animals and plants each contain different nutrients that our bodies acquire that we can't get from the other group of food. And as Dr. Sarah Ballantyne indicated in this excellent article she wrote called How Much Meat versus Veggies, she says, I quote, "It's not a competition between these two kingdoms where one is better or worse than the other. Both plants and animals play a distinct but equally valuable role. The fact is that there's nutrients we can only get from plants and nutrients we can only get from animal foods. We need both to get the full complement of nutrients that our bodies need to be healthy. So instead of fighting about whether bacon rules and vegetables suck or vice versa, we should be celebrating the fact that the plant and animal kingdoms are both totally awesome and totally necessary for our health."
I love that. So as you can see, Marisa and I want you to be eating a wide variety of superfoods. So what are superfoods really? I will tell you guys. They are the best possible plants and the best possible animals available to us. And we call them superfoods because they contain a high amount of nutrients per serving, hence the term nutrient density. So nutrient-dense superfoods are minimally processed, they have few ingredients, and they're fresh, organic, and detoxifying. So you probably noticed that our superfoods range from fruits, especially berries, to colorful vegetables, to pasture-raised animal proteins, and even healthy fats. So things like wild-caught salmon, blueberries, green tea, and dark chocolate are just some of my favorite examples of superfoods. So the omega-3s found in salmon, they're actually known to reduce your chances of heart disease, boost your brain power, and just protect you from chronic inflammation. And blueberries, they contain high levels of immune-boosting vitamin C, and our cells just love blueberries. And green tea has a high number of antioxidants and just protect our cells from all sorts of damage. And dark chocolate, I think we all love dark chocolate. It's known to just lower our blood pressure, and it's packed with antioxidants that protect us as well. Superfoods are amazing, and the really cool thing is superfoods get super results. One thing they do is they strengthen your immune system. And one of your immune system's biggest jobs is to just keep you from getting sick. I think you learned that in 4th grade. But what you might not know is that an estimated 60 to 80% of your immune system is in your gut.
Yeah, that means that if our gut isn't healthy, then our immune system is suffering and we're more likely to get sick.
So making sure that your digestion is strong is key to keeping out invaders that could lead to sickness, chronic inflammation, food sensitivities, and autoimmune conditions. So we talk all about how to strengthen your immune system with superfoods like garlic and oil of oregano and bone broth and probiotics in episode 24. So definitely take a listen. And you might also like to learn all about keeping your gut healthy by listening to episodes 3, 4, and 5. Those are some really helpful episodes.
I'd say those are some of my favorites. Now, as if you guys needed more reasons to eat nutrient-dense foods, Jessica has something really cool to teach us that I never knew about either. Go for it.
Yes. So get this. Nutrient-dense foods burn more calories. So this is all thanks to the thermic effect. And the thermic effect is the amount of calories that are burned just to digest a certain food. So yes, we burn calories to digest calories. So protein, for example, has a higher thermic effect than carbohydrates. And what's even more interesting is that the thermic effect of eating whole foods is much higher than if you ate the same amount of calories from processed foods. So a study published in Food and Nutrition Research found that a processed meal decreased the thermic effect of food by nearly 50% compared to the same meal made with whole foods. So this means that eating whole foods actually requires your body to burn more calories while digesting it. And that's because when we eat whole foods, the body needs more energy to break it down into the usable components and get the nutrients where they need to be in our body.
Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it. It's so cool, especially because they've done research on it. Well, how about you tell us a list of foods with the highest thermic effect?
Sure. So whole food proteins such as chicken breast, eggs, grass-fed lean beef, wild-caught salmon, and low-mercury tuna are all top-notch. Complex and fibrous, colorful carbohydrates like spinach and broccoli and asparagus and apples top the fruit and veggies charts.
And I think we should probably talk about what are the foods with the lowest thermic effect.
Yeah, so that's right where I was going. So the foods with the lowest thermic effect include the damaged fats found in vegetable oils and processed foods and just commercially baked goods like cookies and crackers and cakes and even fried foods like donuts and french fries, and then trans fats like shortening and margarine, and then refined carbohydrates like sugar and white bread all have a very low thermic effect, and that's really no surprise there, right?
Yeah, and you'll be packing on the pounds. You'll be doing plenty of other damage by eating those nutrient-poor foods.
Totally. So let's chat some reasons to just start incorporating nutrient-dense foods into your life. Let's say you're just done with calorie counting because it's not working. While we may have to pay attention to our caloric needs and even portion sizes, eating the right foods for our bodies is so much more important, and we will get better results. Nutrient density is defined as the amount of nutrients per calorie in a given food. So 35 calories of carrots and 35 calories of breadsticks have a much different nutritional makeup, yet they provide the same amount of calories. So which one is more nutrient dense? The carrots, of course. And, when it comes to eating, making each calorie count and really focus on the quality of what you eat.
Yeah, in the last episode, which is part 1 of this nutrient density topic, I told you guys how much nutrient density affected my appetite for the better. I mean, that's what comes to mind when I hear you give that example, like carrots or breadsticks. I mean, I finally started having control over my cravings, and my appetite just became more of an afterthought instead of like this furious high-speed driver that was always in control. And while we're still young, that's reason enough for me to get hooked on nutrient-dense foods, right?
Right. And eating all your calories in the form of a Red Bull or donuts and pizza, it may be within your calorie needs, but it won't get you very far with things like body composition, energy, sleep, skin health, and so on. You'll be hungry all the time, crabby, and just more prone to advanced aging and illness. We really need to focus on meals that have a high nutrient density and provide a solid base of quality nutrients, whether they're deemed high or low calorie. You want to consume both high calorie nutrient dense foods like nuts and avocados and low calorie nutrient dense foods like vegetables. And you want to avoid foods with low nutrient density, whether they are high calorie like fast food or low calorie like all of those diet snack packs. So what is the lesson here?
Forget about calories. That's the lesson.
Exactly. That's right. So nutrition quality, it's not determined by calories. Rather, nutrition quality is actually determined by nutritional content. Superfoods have the right content. So let's focus on adding those to our diet rather than counting, controlling, and just restricting calories.
Can I just say thank you, Jessica? Forget the points, you guys. Forget the calories. Ugh, just forget it. It's too complicated. Thank you, Jessica.
You are so welcome. So another reason to start incorporating nutrient-dense foods into your life is because you need a stress reduction stat. You guys, stress is natural, and there are many sources of stress, especially today. But did you know that dietary sources of stress are abundant in our diet? The good news is you have full control over how much stress you eat.
I never thought of it this way. That's pretty important, I'd say, today in our stressful world. So what would you say is the most stressful type of food for the body?
Oh, definitely refined sugar. Refined sugar is bad for you, and I know that you know it, but now we all just need to really believe it. I think sugar is one of the biggest dietary toxins out there. Do you find your sweet cravings uncontrollable, or do you feel the need to have something sweet after every meal? You should definitely take a listen to episodes 6 and 7, where Marisa and I explain the signs to look for when you're eating too much sugar and dietary carbohydrates.
And we provide so many tips for cutting sugar and carbs, things that we've done ourselves and with our clients. We know they work. So many great tips, you guys. You don't want to miss those.
Now, just for good measure, I want to remind you that sugar isn't the only culprit. Here are a few examples of the biggest dietary toxins. So things like fast food meals from McDonald's or Burger King, fried foods like French fries, artificial sweeteners like Splenda, Diet Coke, sugar-free Red Bull, excessive carbohydrate intake, damaging fats like vegetable oils, hydrogenated fats, and trans fats, monosodium glutamate, so that's MSG, found in a lot of Chinese takeout, refined sugars, refined carbohydrates like every white bread and pasta you eat, and genetically modified crops and conventional produce because they're sprayed with so many toxins. And this is kind of a bummer, but alcohol. So it's really important to just decrease the dietary toxins coming in, and I promise you, you will feel so much better.
Yeah, this is why right here, no matter which whole foods diet you switch to, like if you go vegan or you go on the Mediterranean diet, the South Beach diet, low carb, paleo, the Whole30, anything that's whole food based. The reason everyone feels dramatically better when they first start these diets is because they're finally cutting out all that crap. They finally have rules that are like, you can't go to Chick-fil-A or you can't eat everything that's processed in a package. All of those dietary toxins are running you down, and when you eliminate them, you start to feel alive again.
Yes, and that's another reason to start incorporating nutrient-dense foods into your life, because you want to improve your vitality, your energy, and just overall health. And essential nutrients, they're called essential because our body needs them and cannot function and manufacture them on their own. Therefore, we need to take responsibility and eat these essential nutrients. So these include whole food macronutrients like protein, fat, carbohydrates, and micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, and even water. So macronutrients, they provide calories or energy, and they're needed for growth and metabolism, among so many other body functions.
Yeah, that's what we hear about all the time, right? Those macros. But the micronutrients are really where this nutrient density comes in. When we say micronutrients, we mean zinc and iodine. Those are necessary for healthy functioning of all of our body systems, from immunity to our brain function.
Nutrition science, it continues to evolve and identify new compounds that are deemed essential to life. Even water is considered an essential nutrient because it's needed for the digestion of food. So it helps to transport body tissues and absorb nutrients, and it also helps move waste material through the body. And all of these essential nutrients are found in the clean water that we should be drinking and the whole foods that we're supposed to be eating. So those mighty superfoods that we mentioned, like salmon, blueberries, eggs, and avocados. I challenge all of you listeners to just tap into how you feel when you eat certain foods. If you feel energized and satisfied during and after your meal and in the long term, it might be a sign that you are nourishing your body right.
Yeah, but what if you're one of those people that eats whatever they want, fried food every day, and you don't feel like crap because you're young? You don't gain weight easily. You're not really seeing the consequences. You're so busy, you don't have time to think about your health. Well, think about this. How often are you getting sick? I bet you're getting sick pretty often. And what kind of chronic disease runs in your family that you might have to think about? Does heart disease run in your family? Dementia? What about cancer? We can't just think about the effects of our diet right now, how we're feeling right now. We need to think about the long-term effects and prevention before it's too late.
Yeah, and mornings are a telltale sign of your health too. If you're constantly hitting a snooze button or just craving a nap, it means that your diet could be better. And there's a prescription drug for that. It's called superfoods, and you can pick it up from Nature's Pharmacy in like an hour.
I love that one. Nature's Pharmacy is my favorite place.
So what is the take-home message here? It's to consume real, whole, unprocessed, anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense superfoods. You will gain control over cravings, you will rev up your metabolism, you'll ward off disease, you'll improve your energy, and you will just allow your body to be the fat-burning machine that it was designed to be.
Sounds like a sweet setup, Jess, but we should remind everyone you're not going to get away with only going to drive-thrus and ordering delivery for all of your meals. Like, you actually have to cook something, or you have to order those meal kits, or you have to order like pre-made meals that actually made from whole foods. Like, there's some sort of compromise you have to make here and adaptations to your lifestyle to actually make a nutrient-dense diet part of your family's routine. We can't forget about the basics. The basics are, whole foods need a little bit of time and love in the kitchen, and it really brings families together. You just kind of have to reroute the way you're doing it right now and reprioritize, don't you think?
I mean, what a perfect goal to just go into the new year, cooking food from home and eating just real nutrient-dense superfoods so that you can thrive going into 2019.
Yeah, this is a good time of year. I mean, this is when you got to start thinking about that, what really matters to you and your family and how you're going to reach your goals. And even if you start with one day a week, are you cooking at all right now? Can you cook that one day on a Saturday or Sunday and prepare some meals in advance so that you really have some whole foods in your rotation? Or can you just work on cutting out your favorite drive-through place? Just start there, because I know it's really hard. This is a big step, you guys, but you're already listening to the Foundation of Wellness podcast, so you must be on the right track.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in to us all of 2018. We have exciting plans for 2019 with the podcast, so thanks so much for listening to this episode.
Yes, please share this with a friend. We want the word to get out about the Foundation of Wellness, and leave us a review if you're using iTunes, because it's cool to see what you think. All of your feedback is totally appreciated, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Foundation of Wellness podcast. Happy New Year.
Bye, guys.